Hello and welcome to another Attorney Reporter exclusive interview with top attorneys on personal injury matters. Counselor, let's get right down to our first personal injury question that has to do with making the right decision. Now, is hiring a lawyer for personal injury always necessary?
It's always a good idea. Yeah, after all, your competition is an insurance company that has lawyers and has adjusters that are experienced in paying you as little as possible. And that's their goal. And your goal is to achieve fair compensation for whatever it is that you've been through. The only way you're going to do that is to hire an aggressive lawyer, one that's not only competent but you communicate well with, so that your agenda is their agenda. You're both fighting the same fight, and you can make decisions that are necessary along the way under varying circumstances, whether you're talking about settlement discussions or even in the heat of battle during a trial. So absolutely, if you, unless you're a lawyer yourself, and you probably ought not represent yourself if you are, I would definitely say you're likely to get a much better outcome by hiring a lawyer and doing it early, when you have the best opportunity to influence the outcome of events rather than coming in too late into the process.
So, Counselor, is there a story you can share with us where in fact someone has done it themselves and ruined the opportunity for a good settlement?
We've had that happen, and we've had people go to the wrong type of attorney. I mean, not every attorney that does practices in one field within personal injury is really competent and experienced to practice in another. That's why you should stay within your realm of expertise, even if you're licensed to practice in any particular or all areas. And to answer your question, absolutely. We've lost the ability to prove certain things, that we've had to go back and try to find witnesses and recreate evidence and hire forensic specialists, all at great expense and sometimes less efficacious than if we just had the case earlier. We could have influenced the outcome from the beginning.
So basically doing it yourself or not having competent counsel is not recommended if you want the best outcome for your case. What about negligence? How does it play into the outcome of a personal injury lawsuit?
It's the prerequisite, the fundamental requirement that you have to be able to prove, since you're the one injured and you're the one bringing the case. But it also provides the moral and legal basis for the extent of the compensation that you're ultimately going to be entitled to. And another factor is many of these types of cases are handled through the jury system. So the jury decides the fate of your case, and they want to be outraged. If they're going to pay you money, and I'm not talking a little bit of money, but if they're going to pay you fairly for what you've been through, you're going to need to show them that the party or parties that you're suing really dropped the ball and hurt you in consequence. So the extent of the negligence, the clearness of the liability that you can show is really set forth at their table is going to influence the entire outcome of this litigation.
In other words, make sure you document everything and that you have experienced, competent counsel by your side from the beginning.
Get a lawyer. Don't speak to anybody that you shouldn't be speaking to, such as insurance adjusters or other non-essential personnel in the beginning. Everything you can recall and everything you know, convey that to the lawyer, and then make sure you have a good understanding about what it is you're trying to achieve here. I would say if you're seriously hurt, try to go to a lawyer that is not looking to close your case in 6 months and move on to the next settlement.
Good advice, Counselor. Thank you. Now, what if someone has been hurt on the job? Is that a personal injury legal case or a workers' comp case?
It may very well be both. You have to look at both angles, because you don't want to only pursue one of two available remedies. You're clearly in the workers' compensation realm if you're hurt on the job, and it doesn't really matter whether it's a construction site or you're an office worker. But if you can also pursue a personal injury claim, you have the ability to achieve a greater range of financial compensation than is typically available under a workers' compensation claim. And you should do that. And therefore, you should make sure the lawyer you go to can look into both matters for you and can handle them both if those cases both exist.
So for those that have been injured on the job, a workman's comp lawyer may not bring the maximum compensation for their injuries. And it would be in their best interest to consider a personal injury attorney as well.
You should look at both. And again, if you have a lawyer that is experienced and careful to look at both up front, then the delays and mistakes that could be made in the absence of looking at both can be avoided. If you're only looking in one area and you don't see a remedy that you have, you may lose critical time or the availability of information, and you also may wind up having a lawyer to handle one a lawyer to handle another, and left and right hand don't always coordinate real well.
That's good advice, counselor. But now let's focus on fair compensation. How does someone know if they're being offered a reasonable settlement from the insurance company?
You probably wouldn't without some guidance, and that's another reason why you don't want to go into a negotiation with an insurance company your first time. It's like trying to buy an automobile from a used car dealer and you've never been through the process before. They're going to win and you're going to lose. So yes, you get a lawyer, and then the parameters are the extent of the injury, the amount of financial loss, the future consequences to you financially, and then you have the whole element of non-economic damages, which are critical. How has it affected you? How has it affected your family members? How has it affected your body? How has it affected your ability to engage in activities that you like to engage in? How is it going to affect your earning capacity as you age? Are you going to need more accommodations in your job? Is your job going to put up with you if you can't do the same type of productivity that you were able to perform before? You only get to settle a case or try it once, but yet you may have to live with the consequences of the injury for a long, long time. That's why you want to get it right the first time.
With all things being equal, it seems to me that once you settle a case that you weren't compensated fairly on, then there's really no turning back.
You're going to have one chance to get this right, and unlike a painting where you can change colors or sandpaper it off and start again, you're not really going to have that opportunity here. Once you sign a settlement document, that's it. And you're going to want to make sure that both you and your attorney have thought through all the ramifications of what's at stake here for you and your future, and what are the probabilities if you choose to settle the case versus seeking your day in court and letting a jury of your peers decide what's fair.
That's well and good, counselor. But how will someone know if they should settle their case or take it to trial?
You're going to have to do that collaboratively. You're going to need to think about all the different parameters, questions that you asked before. You're going to have to do an analytical chart. What are the benefits of settling it now, assuming you know what your range of settlement possibility is. And then you're going to have to ask your lawyer to look at verdicts in similar situations and tell you what you might be looking at if you go to trial. And then taking that into account, you're going to have to say what's in your best interest now, because you may be looking at a 1 or 2 year delay if you should not take a settlement at a certain point, and you have to be willing to live with that decision and the appeals and the necessary difficulties that are involved. It is not easy to go through a whole trial, but it is certainly rewarding, and some of the most satisfying outcomes, frankly, in my practice, my professional career, have been where people who didn't really want to go through a trial, but they just didn't have a better alternative, they've done it, and thereafter they've been able to put some of their kids through college, or able to reorient their life and adapt their life so that they actually can enjoy it. Some of those people are actually my friends to this day. I mean, we don't see each other daily, but whenever they need something, they call. Once in a while, they send a card, they stay in touch, and they're really my best referral source.
Just to clarify, you're saying if you're too eager to settle early, there's a really good chance that you could be leaving a substantial amount of compensation for your injuries on the table.
My experience is that in a serious injury situation, you often get the best settlement while you're litigating it, and sometimes when you're not too far from the steps of the courthouse, and sometimes in the courtroom. If you're settling a case where there's serious injuries and long-term consequences, and you're doing it before you've been through the paces, so to speak, in my experience, you're not getting top dollar. And sometimes you're not even getting fair compensation. So you definitely want to go to a lawyer or a firm that's willing to pay the price, maintain a relationship with you for a couple of years to try to extract the best possible settlement. And if you can't, they're willing to try the case.
Counselor, thank you very much for your legal insight. And to all of our viewers, we hope that we answered all of your pressing legal questions. My name is Wendy Lee Curtis. Thank you so much for joining us for this Attorney Reporter exclusive. Until the next time.